some plants and foods that we see every day can be worth a lot of money. This happens because not everyone can grow them, because they are rare or because they have a special flavor or benefit that people want to pay more for. Let's talk about 20 of these crops that sell for high prices, explaining in a simple way how they work and why they are so expensive. First, it is important to understand that it is not just planting and harvesting. Many of these foods need special care, such as the right climate, good soil, or even cultivation techniques that are not easy. Others are expensive because they are difficult to find or because they only grow in specific places. There are also those that are used in fancy restaurants or in medicine, which increases the price. Let's start with an example that everyone knows: acai. In Brazil, it is cheap and easy to find, but in other countries, such as the United States or Europe, it costs much more. This is because it needs to be exported, goes through processes to last longer, and people there pay a lot for something they consider exotic or healthy. A kilo of frozen acai pulp can cost up to 50 reais abroad, while here we find it for less than 10 reais. Another example is saffron. It comes from a purple flower called Crocus sativus, and to make 1 kilo of saffron you need around 150,000 flowers. Imagine the work. Therefore, a kilo can cost more than 10,000 reais. It is used to add color and flavor to food, but also in medicines and even cosmetics. If you've ever seen a yellow risotto, it probably had saffron in it. There is also truffle, a type of fungus that grows underground, near the roots of some trees. It is found with the help of trained dogs or pigs, because the smell is strong and attracts the animals. A black truffle can cost more than 2,000 reais per kilo. It is used in sophisticated dishes, such as pasta and eggs, and has a unique, earthy, and intense taste. If you've ever seen a chef grating something black on top of an expensive dish, it was probably truffle. Another expensive crop is wasabi, that green paste that comes with sushi. Real wasabi is difficult to grow because it needs clean, running water, and the right temperature. Most of the wasabi we eat is imitation, made from horseradish and dye. The real thing can cost more than 100 reais per 100 grams. It is spicy, but different from pepper, because the heat disappears quickly. Now, let's talk about fruits. The Yubari King melon, from Japan, is one of the most expensive in the world. It is sweet, juicy, and has a smooth, beautiful skin. Each melon can cost more than 10,000 reais, and they are given as gifts on special occasions. Another expensive fruit is the mangosteen, which comes from Asia. It has a purple skin and the inside is white, sweet, and juicy. In Brazil, it is difficult to find fresh, and when you do, it is expensive because it is not easy to transport without spoiling. There are also herbs and seasonings. Cardamom, for example, is a small green seed used in sweets and teas. It is expensive because it needs to be harvested by hand, one by one. A kilo can cost more than 500 reais. Another expensive spice is vanilla. It comes from an orchid and needs to be pollinated by hand, which is a lot of work. Therefore, a kilo of vanilla beans can cost more than 2,000 reais. If you've ever eaten real vanilla ice cream, you know that the flavor is very different from artificial ones. Now, let's talk vegetables. The matsutake mushroom is highly valued in Japan. It grows in autumn, near pine trees, and has a strong smell and strong flavor. 1 kilo can cost more than 2,000 reais. Another expensive mushroom is porcini, used in sauces and risottos. It is difficult to find fresh, so it is often sold dried, which drives up the price. There is also coffee. Kopi Luwak coffee, from Indonesia, is one of the most expensive in the world. It is made with grains that have passed through the digestive system of an animal called a civet. After being eaten, the grains are collected in the animal's feces, washed and roasted. A kilo can cost more than 1,000 reais. People say the flavor is milder and less bitter, but many people think it's not worth the price. Another expensive food is caviar. It is made with sturgeon eggs, a fish that lives in cold waters. The most expensive caviar, called beluga, can cost more than 20,000 reais per kilo. It is served in mother-of-pearl spoons at fancy parties. The flavor is salty and creamy, and many people find it luxurious. Now, let's talk about plants that are not for eating. The blue rose is a flower that does not exist in nature. It is created in a laboratory and can cost more than 100 reais each. Another expensive flower is the Shenzhen Nongke orchid. It was created by Chinese scientists and can cost more than 150,000 reais. It is rare and takes years to grow. There is also coconut sugar. It is made from the sap of coconut tree flowers and is considered healthier than regular sugar. A kilo can cost more than 50 reais. Another expensive sweetener is manuka honey from New Zealand. It is made by bees that pollinate the manuka flower and has medicinal properties. A small pot can cost more than 200 reais. Another crop that sells for high prices is tea. Da Hong Pao tea, from China, is one of the most expensive in the world. It comes from old plants and can cost more than 1 million reais per kilo. It is served in small quantities in special ceremonies. Another expensive tea is gyokuro, from Japan. It is grown in the shade, which makes the leaves sweeter. A kilo can cost more than 1,000 reais. Finally, let's talk about a crop that many people don't know about: high-quality extra virgin olive oil. It is made with hand-picked and cold-pressed olives. A liter can cost more than 100 reais. It is used in salads, sauces, and even hot dishes. The flavor is more fruity and less bitter than common olive oils. These are just a few examples of crops that sell for high prices. What they all have in common is that they are difficult to produce, rare, or have a flavor or benefit that people value highly. If you are thinking about growing something to sell, it might be a good idea to research these foods, but remember that many of them require special care and investment. In the end, what makes a food expensive is not only the work that goes into producing it, but also how much people are willing to pay for it. Some are considered luxuries, others are used in medicine or cosmetics, and others simply have a unique flavor that you can't find anywhere else. Whatever the reason, it's interesting to know that even simple things, like a fruit or a spice, can be worth a lot of money. Here are some more examples of crops that can be worth a lot of money, along with practical tips for those who want to enter this market. Remember, you don't always need to have a big farm or a lot of money to start. Sometimes, a small space well used and knowledge can make all the difference. One of the most valuable crops is saffron. This spice comes from the stigmas, those thin, red threads, of the saffron flower. To produce 1 kilogram of dried saffron, around 150,000 flowers are needed. That's why it's so expensive. It can cost more than 30,000 reais per kilo on the international market. The good thing is that you can plant it in pots or small beds, as long as the climate is mild and the soil is well drained. If you live in an area with cold winters and dry summers, this could be a good option. Another example is the truffle mushroom, especially the black and white truffle. They grow underground, near the roots of certain trees, such as oaks and walnuts. Finding a truffle is like finding treasure, because they don't appear just anywhere. In Europe, some white truffles have already been sold for more than 100,000 reais per kilo. In Brazil, it is still a small market, but some farms are already trying to cultivate it, especially in the south, where the climate is more similar to Europe. If you like challenges and have patience, it could be an interesting bet. Wasabi, that spicy green seasoning used in sushi, is another crop worth its weight in gold. Real wasabi is made from the root of a plant that needs very specific conditions to grow: clean, running water, shade, and mild temperatures. In Japan, where it is more common, a quality wasabi root can cost more than 100 reais. In Brazil, it is still rare to find fresh wasabi, so anyone who can produce it with quality can have a guaranteed market, especially in Japanese restaurants. If you live in a hot and humid region, you might consider growing vanilla. This spice comes from the pods of a climbing orchid and is used in sweets, perfumes, and even medicines. Production is laborious. The flowers need to be pollinated by hand, one by one, and the pods take months to mature. But the effort is worth it. A kilo of vanilla pods can cost more than 5,000 reais. In Brazil, Bahia and Espírito Santo are places where vanilla is already grown, but there is still room for new producers. For those who like fruits, physalis, or camapu, is a great option. This yellow fruit, wrapped in a paper-thin skin, is widely used in gourmet sweets, juices, and even sophisticated dishes. It grows well in tropical and subtropical climates, and the price can reach 50 reais per kilo, depending on the time of year. The cool thing is that you can plant it in pots or beds, and the harvest starts in a few months. Another fruit that is gaining ground is the blueberry. It is rich in antioxidants and highly sought after by those concerned about health. In Brazil, it is still difficult to find fresh blueberries, so those who produce can sell for high prices, especially in natural products markets or to restaurants. The problem is that the plant needs acidic soil and special care, but if you get the right conditions, you can have a good income. If you have little space, you can invest in microgreens. These are sprouts of vegetables such as beetroot, arugula, coriander, and even broccoli, harvested when they are still very small. They are used in gourmet salads, sandwiches, and fine restaurant dishes. The cool thing is that they grow quickly. You can harvest them in 2 weeks and take up little space. A kilo of microgreens can cost more than 100 reais, depending on the type. Finally, it's worth mentioning blue ginger, or Hawaiian ginger. It is different from regular ginger because it has a bluish tone and a milder, citrusy flavor. It is widely used in Asian cuisine and sophisticated drinks. In Brazil, it is still little known, so whoever starts producing it may have an exclusive market. The price varies, but can be much higher than regular ginger. Before choosing what to plant, it is important to research well. See if the climate in your region is suitable, if there is demand in your city, or if you can sell to other places. It's also good to talk to other producers to learn from their experience. Many of these crops require patience and dedication, but the return can be very good. The most important thing is to start small, test and learn along the way. Sometimes a simple idea, like planting rare aromatic herbs or exotic fruits, can turn into a profitable business. And remember, what makes a food worth a lot is not just the work, but also the story it carries and how much people want to have it. Now, let's talk about some crops that may surprise you due to their high price and ease of cultivation in certain regions. Many of them do not require large areas and can even be planted in backyards or pots, depending on the case. The secret is understanding what people value and how to offer something different from what already exists on the market. One example is turmeric, also known as turmeric. In addition to being used as a seasoning, it is increasingly sought after for its health benefits, such as anti-inflammatory action. A kilo of fresh root can cost between 50 Brazilian reals and 100 Brazilian reals, depending on the quality and time of year. To plant, all you need is well-drained soil and a warm climate, such as in the Northeast or Midwest. The cultivation cycle is around 8 to 10 months, but the initial investment is low, as seedlings are easy to obtain. Another interesting option is wasabi, that spicy green paste used in Japanese cuisine. In Brazil, real wasabi is rare and expensive, because it needs specific conditions to grow: cold running water, shade, and soil rich in organic matter. Therefore, a small pack can cost more than 100 Brazilian reals. Those who live in mountainous regions or with clean water springs can try to grow it, but patience is required, as the plant takes around 18 months to be ready. Even so, it's worth it, because the Japanese and gourmet restaurant market is always looking for reliable suppliers. For those who like medicinal plants, aloe vera is a great choice. The leaf gel is used in cosmetics, juices, and beauty products, and a kilo can be sold for 20 Brazilian reals to 50 Brazilian reals, depending on the purity. Aloe grows well in dry climates and does not need much water, making it ideal for regions such as the northeastern hinterland. The best thing is that it multiplies easily. Just cut a leaf and plant it to have new seedlings. Furthermore, you can sell both the fresh leaf and the processed gel, which increases profit possibilities. If you live in a region with a colder climate, such as southern Brazil, you can invest in blueberries. This little blue fruit is overvalued because it is rich in antioxidants and difficult to find fresh on the market. A kilo of blueberries can cost between 80 Brazilian reals and 150 Brazilian reals, especially if they are organic. Cultivation requires acidic soil and a little care against pests, but seedlings are easy to find in nurseries. The cool thing is that, in addition to selling fresh fruit, you can make jellies, juices, and even dehydrated products, which have even more value. For those who have space and want something bolder, shiitake mushrooms are an excellent option. It is widely used in Asian cuisine and has a unique flavor, as well as being rich in nutrients. A fresh kilo can be sold for 60 Brazilian reals to 120 Brazilian reals, and dried kilos can cost even more. Cultivation is done on wooden logs or special substrates, and the process takes around 3 to 6 months. The initial investment is a little higher, because it requires a controlled environment, humidity, and temperature, but the return is worth it. Many producers start on a small scale, selling to restaurants or at natural products fairs. Another crop that is gaining ground is physalis, also called camapu or joa de capote. This little orange fruit, with a thin skin that looks like paper, is used in sweets, juices, and even sophisticated dishes. A kilo can cost between 40 Brazilian reals and 100 Brazilian reals, depending on the season. It grows well in hot climates and doesn't need much care, but it's important to harvest it at the right time to avoid spoilage. Physalis is a great option for those who want something different and well received in the gourmet market. Finally, We cannot forget rare aromatic herbs, such as lemon thyme, purple sage, or Thai basil. These plants are used by chefs and in special recipes, and a small bunch can cost between 10 Brazilian reals and 30 Brazilian reals. They grow well in pots or flower beds, need sun and moderate watering, and can be sold fresh or dried. The cool thing is that you can start with a few seedlings and expand according to demand. Many producers sell directly to restaurants or at organic markets, where the price is even better. The most important thing, as we have already said, is to research well before starting. Talk to those who already produce, visit fairs and markets to understand what people are looking for. Sometimes a culture that seems simple can be the key to a successful business. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Many valuable food producers started with a small idea and tweaked their way as they learned. The secret is to offer something that people really want and that is not easy to find anywhere. With dedication and creativity, even a modest crop can turn into a surprising source of income. Here are more examples of crops that can be worth a lot of money, especially if you know where and how to sell them. Some of them are little known, but have a loyal audience willing to pay a lot for quality or exclusivity. Saffron is one of the most expensive spices in the world, known as red gold. It comes from a flower called Crocus sativus, and each flower produces just 3 stigmas, threads, that are harvested by hand. To produce 1 kilo of dried saffron, around 150,000 flowers are needed. Therefore, the price can reach thousands of reais per kilo. In Brazil, some producers are already cultivating in small areas, selling to chefs, gourmet stores, and even exporting. The secret is to start with a small investment, test the soil and climate in your region, and focus on quality. Another plant that draws attention is the black truffle. It is a type of fungus that grows underground, near the roots of trees such as oak and hazelnut. Finding truffles is difficult, which is why they are so valuable. Abroad, a kilo can cost more than 10,000 reais, but in Brazil the market is still small. Some producers are trying to grow truffles in regions with a mild climate, such as the south of the country. If it works, it could be a very profitable business, as restaurants and fine food stores pay well for them. Wasabi, that spicy green paste used in sushi, is also a rare and expensive crop. In Japan, the plant is grown in clean, running water, which makes production complicated. In Brazil, some producers are experimenting with growing wasabi in greenhouses with controlled irrigation. The price of 1 kilo of fresh root can reach 500 reais or more, depending on the quality. Japanese restaurants and specialty stores are the main buyers. If you live in a hot region, you can invest in rare peppers, such as the Carolina Reaper, one of the hottest in the world, or Pimenta biquinho. These peppers are sold at high prices for those who like strong seasonings or want to make homemade sauces. Many producers sell their peppers fresh, dried, or preserved, and some even create their own brands of sauces. The cool thing is that you can start with little space, even in pots. Another interesting option is the shiitake mushroom. It is widely used in Oriental cuisine and has a unique flavor. Cultivation can be done on wooden logs or special substrates, and the price varies greatly. A kilo of fresh shiitake can cost between 50 and 100 reais, depending on the time of year and demand. Restaurants, natural product markets, and even supermarkets are good places to sell. For those who like medicinal plants, aloe vera can be a good choice. The leaf gel is used in cosmetics, juices, and beauty products. Many producers sell the fresh leaves to industries or make artisanal products, such as soaps and creams. The natural products market is growing, and aloe vera is an easy-to-grow plant that doesn't need much care. If you have shady land, you can try growing organic ginger. Common ginger is easy to find, but organic ginger, without pesticides, is rarer and can be sold for a much higher price. Some producers sell to natural product stores or directly to consumers looking for quality. Cultivation is not complicated, but it requires patience, as the plant takes around 8 months to be ready. Another crop that is gaining ground is quinoa. It is a grain rich in protein and highly sought after by those looking for a healthy diet. In Brazil, quinoa is still little produced, so whoever enters this market may have less competition. The price varies, but a kilo can cost between 30 and 60 reais, depending on the quality. Organic fairs and natural product stores are great places to sell. For those who live near large cities, microgreens, mini vegetables harvested right after they germinate, can be a great option. They are used by chefs to decorate dishes and add a special touch. Some examples are micro arugula, micro beetroot, and micro coriander. Cultivation is quick, You can harvest it in about 10 days, and can be done in small spaces, even indoors. The price varies, but a 100-gram package can cost between 20 and 50 reais. The heirloom tomato, or old tomato, is also a product that sells well. These are tomato varieties that are not found in the common market, with different flavors and colors. Some examples are the yellow cherry tomato, the purple tomato, and the oxheart tomato. These tomatoes are widely used by chefs and in gourmet restaurants, and the price can be up to 3 times higher than a common tomato. Finally, it's worth mentioning fresh aromatic herbs, such as purple basil, lemon thyme, and chocolate mint. Many people are willing to pay more for fresh, quality herbs, especially if they are organic. You can sell at fairs, markets, or even deliver at home to restaurants and private customers. The cool thing is that you can grow it in small pots or beds, without needing a lot of space. The most important thing is to choose a crop that suits your climate, space, and time availability. Start small, test the market, and adjust according to demand. Many of these products have a loyal following, which values quality and exclusivity. With dedication and a little creativity, you can transform a simple crop into an interesting source of income. And remember, the secret is not just producing, but also knowing how to sell. Talk to chefs, participate in fairs, use social media to promote your product. The more visibility you give to what you plant, the more likely you are to find someone willing to pay a good price.